It's not often that a role player headed to the injured reserve puts your roster in a little bit of a crunch ahead of a game, but that's where the Texans are with Brevin Jordan heading to injured reserve. His knee injury puts the Texans in a little bit of a roster pickle, and I'll explain here in a moment. We'll hear from CJ Stroud exactly what Brevin Jordan means to the team, how tough it was to know that he's going to be gone for a while from D'Amico Ryans, and how they go about replacing Brevin Jordan. But here's the crunch that the Texans are in. They've got two injured running backs in Damian Pierce and Joe Mixon. They've got two injured centers in Jarrett Patterson and Juice Scruggs. And none of those guys practiced on Wednesday. So without them practicing on Wednesday, if they had to miss on Sunday, it would stand to reason that the Texans would be looking to add maybe a running back and a center from the practice squad. They've got J.J. Taylor on the practice squad. He had some preseason moments where he stood out. And if you remember the name Scott Quessenberry, he started the year as the starting center last year for the Texans in training camp before a knee injury ended his season. But they're on the roster, and you could promote them from the practice squad to the active game day roster for the game against Minnesota, and that'd be it. But then you'd only have two tight ends on the roster because Brevin Jordan heading to injured reserve, getting replaced on the active roster by D'Angelo Ross, leaves just Dalton Schultz and Cade Stover as the tight ends on the Houston Texans. So you start to see where if you wanted to add, say, a tight end from the practice squad, it would cost you maybe either a running back or a center in the promotion from the practice squad. And while these are all role players that we're talking about, J.J. Taylor would be a backup player, maybe help on special teams. Scott Quessenberry wouldn't play unless Kendrick Green couldn't get it done at the center spot. And the tight end that you would promote, either Irv Smith Jr., who the team signed this week to the practice squad, or Chris Myrick, who's been on the practice squad for a couple of weeks now for the Texans. That player, again, would be a role player and a backup. But it is an interesting and intriguing decision that the Texans have to go through, and it does take a little bit of roster gymnastics to figure out how they're going to replace Brevin Jordan's spot on the roster. He played about 50% of the snaps in week one, about 45% of the snaps in week two. So those snaps have to go to someone else on the roster, and it remains to be seen exactly who that's going to be. It could be just a little bit more Cade Stover, the rookie out of Ohio State. You saw Stover with his first NFL catch last week, the catch and run on fourth down from C.J. Stroud, the play action, dumped it out to Stover. He took it up the sidelines. Could just mean more Cade Stover, and the Texans roll with two tight ends, just Dalton Schultz and Cade Stover on the roster for a week until they have a little bit more time to figure some things out. It also could mean just a whole lot less multiple tight end looks. You just put one tight end on the field, either Stover or Dalton Schultz, let wide receivers and running backs handle the situation. And then it could also mean maybe a little bit of British Brooks. Now, British Brooks doesn't look like a tight end, doesn't act like a tight end, has never played tight end, but the Texans use those tight ends as fullbacks sometimes, and that's where British Brooks practices most of the time. He practices with the practice squad fullback, Troy Hairston, and he practices with the tight ends, Dalton Schultz and Cade Stover, and before his injury, Brevin Jordan. So maybe you could see a couple of more British Brooks opportunities out of the backfield. I don't know that you're necessarily lining him up like you would a traditional tight end over on the edge of the offensive line or splitting him out. I don't know that you would do that if you're the Texans, but he's on the roster for a reason. They trust him to some point. So maybe you see a little bit of British Brooks action to help out in some of those ways that the Texans use their tight ends. A moment here for my friends at Prize Picks. Best, easiest way to play a daily fantasy. What more could you ask for? How about $50 headed your way? Play your first five and get $50 when you sign up with my code STOOTS, 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 STOOTS. Use the link in the description down below to get signed up. Prize Picks, the best. Let's show you just how easy it is to put a Prize Picks entry together. So this is the NFL. We're going to go over to a touchdown. And Breece Hall versus the New England Patriots, more than half a rushing touchdown. And then week 3 last year was the breakout for Tank Dell. I like it to be the breakout again this week. Breece Hall, Tank Dell, all we need, a couple of touchdowns. Let's put a $5 on it, nearly 4 times our money. If we win this entry, it is so easy to put a Prize Picks entry together. It's that simple right there, and you got your successful Prize Picks entry. Tank Dell, Breece Hall, score touchdowns, win. It's that simple on Prize Picks. It's that easy. Now, what does Brevin Jordan's injury mean to this team? Well, it felt like he was poised to have his best season of NFL football yet. DeMeco Ryans has mentioned that time and time again throughout the course of this 2024 season, and he echoed that again when he said how tough it was to learn that Brevin Jordan was headed to injured reserve.
First and foremost, it's really heartbreaking losing Brevin. Brevin was on his way to a breakout year. I feel sorry for Brevin, and the injury, anytime guys go through these injuries, it's always tough. So first thing first, it's about Brevin and him just attacking rehab the right way and getting back as soon as he can. But was really excited with where he was headed. We have some slack to pick up there. Cade, Dalton, everybody they had to step up, right, and try to fill that role.
Maybe I'm gullible. Maybe I'm just too easy to convince. I've never sent a prince in Africa any money over wire transfer, so I'm not that gullible. But I believe in DeMeco Ryans' statements that Brevin Jordan was headed for a big season. The way that Jordan finished the year last year, some of the small successes he had through the first couple of weeks, I believed that Brevin Jordan could have a very clear role and be a useful player. I mean, when you think about it, he's fast enough to give linebackers an issue. He's big enough to give cornerbacks an issue when those different players defend him. So I believed that DeMeco Ryans, and it's unfortunate that Jordan's going to miss some time here. And the way that DeMeco Ryans talks about it, it doesn't sound like it's going to be a short-term injury. It's a knee injury. It seems like it's going to be a while, and even when he gets healthy, there may be a ramp-up period. So I'm not sure we're going to see Brevin Jordan again this season. Certainly hope that I'm wrong. Hopefully they get some good news, and by middle of the season, or latter part of the season, maybe he could come back from injured reserve, but it doesn't sound real good. And it didn't sound real good when CJ Stroud talked about it and how important Brevin Jordan was, not just on the field, but in the locker room as well.
It's tough, man. I'm praying for him. Man, if you want to talk about the heartbeat of this team, man, that's who he is, man. He's somebody who loves hard, and he loves everybody in this building. He loves ball. And, I think he was really getting his momentum on just who he wanted to be in this league and how he wanted to approach practice. So praying for him, I know he's a faith-based man. God makes no mistakes, and he knows that. So I'm not worried about him, but I am going to be a brother that he can lean on. And, man, I love Brad, man. He's my brother for the rest of my life. And I really, know that he'll be back soon, and he'll do great things when he comes back.
A big personality, heartbeat of the team, CJ Stroud said, not going to be with the team on the field. He'll still be around as he gets better and he rehabs and things like that, but not a member of the playing football team for the Texans going forward as Brevin Jordan lands on injured reserve. What say you? Big miss here for the Texans, or nothing too much to worry about? They'll figure it out. Let me know in the comment section down below. On your way down there, throw me a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Don't forget SNL, Stoots and Locker Texans Talk, each and every midweek day at 9 a.m. We got you the Reaction Mondays at 8 a.m. We got you the Friday Wraps at 4 p.m. as well. So don't miss out on any of that. You'll watch it right here on this channel or over on the Locker Room with Landry Locker. And we got the podcasts for you each and every day as well. You can't watch us, you can listen to us as well. Wherever you find your podcast, just search Stoots and Locker and you will find it. Oh, and don't forget to visit our friends over at Prize Picks. Man, that fantastic offer. Play your first 5, get $50. You can't beat that. It's the best. It's the easiest way to play daily fantasy, so don't miss out on that great stuff from Prize Picks. Appreciate you watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I can't wait until we talk Texans again soon.